Hear you.
Okay, can you see my screen? I can see myself, so I'm not sure if I'm on video at the moment.
You are on video. We can't see your screen at the moment.
Okay, so let me, before I share my slides, let me first of all, it would be very helpful if I could see myself on screen so that at least I know I look okay. Yeah, I can see myself. I can only see you, Gloria. Let's see if we can do the, is it possible to, yeah. Okay, so if it's not possible,
we can actually see you.
You can see
on screen.
me.
Yeah.
You can see me on screen. Okay, good.
Yes.
Yeah. So very good evening. Yeah, sorry. A very good evening to everyone on the call this day. I'm indeed happy to be with you this evening and to share some thoughts with you. Before I start my presentation, let me take the opportunity to thank the leadership of Live Beacon for the honor done me by inviting me to this webinar. I'm just basically here to share some thoughts with you and to have conversations with you. So I'm sure the question and answer time will give us the opportunity to interact more. So yeah, the leadership, thanks and great work. You're actually doing a good job, Dr. Ruby. I've not seen her in ages. I've not heard from her. I hope she's somewhere on the call. Hi to you for the great work that you're doing, and Gloria too. It's really good to see that you are trying to impart life through this organization. Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll share my screen with you if that's fine with you. And I would want someone to probably give me feedback if you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually run you through what I already have prepared. And when I'm done, I'll give you the chance to ask questions. So as I move on, if you have any question, feel free to put it in the chat or just write it down. And at the end of the session, I'm happy to address them. Yeah, so when I was contacted by your leadership, I was asked to talk about how to prepare and pass ACCA exams. I think in effect, we are talking about how to prepare and pass accounting professional exams. But the reason why I have limited it to ACCA is because I'm a member of ACCA, as you heard from the profile that Gloria read. So I can best speak to ACCA. I can't really talk about the other professional bodies, but most of the strategies I'm going to share with you, apart from those which are quite idiosyncratic to ACCA, you can apply to other professional bodies that you want to, especially strategies when it comes to preparing for professional exams. It's applicable to any other professional exams you will be taking. So that is my agenda today. So what are you going to do? I'm going to start my presentation by looking at what the ACCA is. I'm sure that some of you are totally new to this whole thing and you are not even sure what, when you talk about ACCA, what it stands for, and when you talk about professional membership, what's the meaning? Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend some time explaining to you what the ACCA stands for, and how to become a member of ACCA. Then after talking about that, I will move on to look at what job prospects. For instance, I'm sure you hear people say that, oh, I'm a chartered accountant, I'm a qualified accountant. So when you indeed go through the struggle to become an ACCA member or a qualified accountant with any other professional body, what are the job prospects there? You know, it's very unclear. Most people don't really know the two main categories of jobs they can do when they qualify. And I'm going to spend some time explaining that to you so that you have a fair idea. And I also talk about what the salary range, so that at least I hope that will whet your appetite for you to probably get out of the call and just register to start your ACCA exams if you have not already started. Then I also look at the structure. How is ACCA exam structured? And also we look at the key sittings, you know, the key sittings. When you talk about the key sitting, we are talking about the number of times you can take the exams, the ACCA exams. It's very, very important. They all feed into how well you can perform. If you don't know how the settings are structured and how you can use the setting to your advantage, then you find yourself wanting. And most of the things I'm going to share with you, trust me, when I was doing ACCA, I didn't know about them, but it was when I finished and I started teaching students, and I gathered some of these things and through research too. Yeah, so we'll look at the structure of the ACCA exams as well as the key settings. Then I'll delve deep into what the strategies to prepare and pass ACCA exams. You know, I think for everyone who has done professional accounting exams, they will tell you that it will teach you how to be disciplined. So, and it's not just about intelligence. You can be very intelligent. You can be a first-class student, and when you take your first paper, you can fail miserably. I'm not in any way trying to scare anyone from this, but I'm just trying to say that, you know, because it's a professional exams, and normally those, by the time you finish your first degree, you may not have enough experience. And professional exams are structured in such a way that you are confronted with real life scenarios, which you need to handle. So if you're not very careful and you bring that same undergrad approach to studies to ACCA and to other professional exams, you even get frustrated and you'll not be able to pass. So I'm going to actually tell you, take you through some simple strategies on how to prepare and also pass the exams. They may seem very simple, but when you implement them, it can really go a long way to actually help you position yourself well for a pass. Then I'll end by taking some questions from you. So that's what we have on our agenda today. I hope you enjoy the session. So let's start by looking at ACCA and membership. That's the first thing on our agenda. So what is ACCA about? When you say ACCA, ACCA is just an acronym that stands for the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants. So it's an association of qualified accountants, you can put it that way. But it is actually based in the UK, but recognized worldwide. So it's one of the leading international accounting bodies and therefore recognized anywhere that you go. When you go to North America, they are HS here and there, but they still accept the fact that if you are qualified with ACCA, they can let you, there's a way to convert it, but that is not the essence of the webinar, so I'm not going to go into that yet. But on what you need to know is ACCA is an international accountancy body, which when you qualify with, you can work in many, many countries in the world. So why is ACCA important? Because the ACCA qualification.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Game Theory, the show that regrets the things.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so ACCA members have over the years shown themselves very competent and have actually won the heart of many employers. Said that if you talk about most of the big auditing firms, the big four firms, they always want their members, their interns to do ACCA and ICA, EW, and all those other things, professional bodies, because they know the kind of training students or trainees get on these professional exams and how they impart their word of work. Yeah. So according to Open Tuition, ACCA is recognized as one of the largest and fastest growing accounting professional bodies in the world, with over 500,000 members, so and students in 170 countries. So you can imagine when you decide to be a part of ACCA, you're not going to be alone. You're going to be part of a big network of qualified accountants. Then let's look at how can you become a member? You know, it sounds very good for you to tell people that, oh, you're a chartered accountant, you're a qualified accountant, you're a member of ACCA. But what does it practically take to be a member of ACCA? There are basically 3 elements you need to consider if you want to become a member of ACCA. As I said, this is for ACCA. I don't know for the other professional bodies, they may have 2, they may have 3, may have 4. Yeah, but for ACCA, there are 3 elements. So the first thing, which is what most of us are mostly intimidated by, is the exams. You have 13 papers to write to start your journey of becoming what? ACCA member. And I must add at this point that it's not every single student of ACCA that writes 13 papers. It depends on your background. If you've done a degree in accounting and you submit your certificate with your transcript, they can assess it and give you some exemptions. So some people end up writing only 9 papers, 10 papers. Yeah, depending on your circumstance. So it's quite idiosyncratic. It's situation specific. So yeah, so basically, if you don't get any exemption, then that means you have 13 wonderful papers to handle in your attempt to become a member of ACCA. And once you're done with the exams, or once you're taking the exams, the ACCA also requires you to undertake a module which is known as ethics and professional skills. You know, accounting, for those of you who have done a bit of accounting or you who are abreast with accounting, you can see that accountants play an important role in an organization. And if an accountant is not up to a certain level of ethical behavior, you can actually put the whole company at risk. And you know, we've heard about a lot of financial scandals, yeah, which has hit our corporate world. And so most of these professional bodies, accounting bodies, take ethics and professional skills modules very important. And on ACCA, once you're doing and on the ACCA, I'm getting a feedback. I'm not sure if is it okay to carry on?
Yeah.
Yeah, so so you need, apart from passing your exams, you need to undertake this ethics and professional skills module, which is basically giving you some knowledge about ethical behavior, how as an accountant you have to behave, the values you need to exhibit, you know, issue of what integrity, confidentiality, professional competence, professional due care, and things like that. All these are things they are going to actually take you through as you take the module. Then aside that, aside the ethics and professional skills module, you need to submit 36 minimum of 36 months of relevant experience, because accounting is I'm sorry, I'm getting some feedback from people. Is it possible to mute everyone so that we can? Thank you. Okay, so in terms of the last thing is about practical experience requirements. To be made a member of ACC, when you have even passed your 13 papers or any number of papers you are supposed to write, you've done your ethics and professional skills, you still have to submit relevant experience of what? 36 months. And you know, basically this is what experience related to what accounting and finance. You don't need to do all of them at once. You can do it at different times and try accumulating it and putting it on your dashboard. So by the time you finish your exams, if you have the 36 minimum of 36 months, which has to be signed up by a qualified accountant, then you are good to go. So basically, it's not just about passing the exams. It is also about doing the ethics and professional skills module and the practical experience requirement. And as I go through it, I will tell you the best time to look at the ethics and professional skills module. That's actually the best time to do that. So I'll show you when to do that. So what I'm going to do is, I've been talking for some time. I'm going to allow you to watch this 2 minutes, almost 3 minutes video, which tells you 6 reasons to choose ACCA, 6 reasons why you should choose ACCA. I'm not in any way trying to advocate for ACCA, but as I said earlier, because I'm a member of ACCA, I can only talk about the benefits ACCA has to offer. But when it gets to the strategies, it's applicable to other professional bodies. So let's take a listen to this video. Okay, so thank you. Yeah, that is it. It sums everything up. At least 6 reasons why you have to choose ACCA. So just carry on.
Before you carry on, can you please summarize it for us, because we didn't really hear the video.
Oh, the sound wasn't coming.
Yes, the sound wasn't coming. So if you can just summarize it for us, we just watched the animations. So if you can just summarize it for us, that would be so great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, so let me just, the sound didn't come. So I can summarize, but I will prefer to let you listen to it. Yeah, because let me see, share sound. Yeah, there we go. It should work now. Gloria, give me a feedback. Can you hear?
Let me give you 6 reasons to choose a qualification with ACCA.
You can hear. Okay, good. So let's do it that way. It's better that way. Yes.
You'll discover a world of opportunity. With 188,000 members and 480,000 students in 178 countries, you'll become part of a global network. You'll get a qualification that's recognized around the world. And you can tailor your studies for local law and tax to suit wherever you want to go. Employers trust ACCA. We have 110 years of experience, so employers trust us to deliver skilled professionals, which we do already to over 7,400 employers around the world. And we have ACCA Careers, giving you the career portal and the job board with thousands of vacancies waiting to be filled. Your automatic network. Once you become an ACCA member, you'll get access to thousands of finance professionals in our members' LinkedIn group, providing you with invaluable connections and potential mentoring opportunities. Or get involved through face-to-face networking events in your local area for students and members. And connect with fellow students through the virtual learning community. We're brilliantly flexible. Want to study full-time or fit your studies around work? No problem. Study on your own with one of our many approved learning partners, face-to-face with tutors, or choose a mix of all 3. Or you could use ACCAX and study online. You can even gain a BSc degree from Oxford Brookes University and a globally recognised MSc degree from the University of London at the same time. Our specialism options allow you to be expert in your chosen field. Quality control? Check. The materials you use and the people who teach you have to meet our high standards. And our approved learning partners, ALPs, that have been specially selected are regularly assessed. We're here to support you. We have masses of online material including study guides, past papers and inspirational articles from top people who were once just like you. We'll also work hard to make exams flexible and convenient. We're always thinking ahead, looking for fresh ways to help you. There's already 24/7 support and tips with the ACCA learning community. And if English isn't your first language, BPP University can provide you with tailored English language support. This is your opportunity to get the right skills and knowledge to build your career as a finance professional. Register today via our website.
Okay, I hope that was good. I hope you could hear that. Was it okay?
Yes, it was. Thank you.
Okay, good. Yeah. So so basically it's just talking about, the many reasons or advantages you have if you decide to take your professional exams with the ACCA. It's been around for a long time. Whereas employers trust it, so there isn't any issue about you acceptability when you're done. They are fastest growing, so the network is there. You get people who are already members and fellows, which you can relate to when you go to LinkedIn, the number of them. Then, the flexibility of studying ACCA can be in person, it can be online, it can be hybrid. And in terms of quality control, it's top notch. And the support is also there. So these are some of the benefits you will get if you decide to work with ACCA. Okay, so having spoken about the reason why, if you are still contemplating on whether to do ACCA or not, you probably want to consider ACCA. Let's look at the job prospects. imagine, let's fast forward it. You finish your exams, you've done your ethics, you've submitted your pair, your practical experience. What are the opportunities out there for you? What are the opportunities out there for you? So basically, once you qualify as a member of ACCA, you can choose to either work as an accountant in practice or accountant in industry. And oftentimes when I meet students doing ACCA or first students at the university in my first class, I ask them, okay, you are starting to become an accountant. Where do you want to work? Do you want to work in industry or in practice? And half of the time, they don't actually know the distinction between the two. So what I'm going to do is, I'm actually going to explain it to you so that if there's anyone on the call who is not sure about what it means in the future, if you meet it, you know what it stands for, and you can also start researching about it so that you can define your career path as you study for the professional exams. And to be fair, it's one of the greatest, one of our dilemmas as an accountant, whether to move the practice way or the industry way. So once you get an understanding early enough, is good. So when you say an accountant is an accountant in practice, what does it mean? It simply means that the person is actually working with an accounting firm and providing accounting services to a number of clients. And the clients may be in different industries. So let's take, for instance, I've finished my ACCA. Let's say Gloria is also done her ACCA. Ruby is also done her ACCA. We decided to team up together and start an accounting firm, call it FGR Accounting Firm. So it's a partnership, and we decide to offer services, accounting services. There are different services. It could be taxation service, it could be audit service, it could be preparing of accounts, it could be anything to different clients. What we are doing is we are working as accountant in practice. So we are not resident accountant in any of the clients that we are working for. We work for different clients and we provide accounting services. If your intention is to do that kind of thing, then that means you are going to work as accountant in practice. And a typical example is we all know about the big four firms. If you work for Pricewaterhouse, Deloitte & Touche, Ernst & Young, KPMG, BDO, all the auditing firms, the accounting firms, then that means you'll be working in practice. You'll be working in practice. So as you can see, I've just listed a few of the firms that you may be working with. I think that I should be able to hide this thing, isn't it? I should be able to hide the tax bar, hide the video panel. Just bear with me for a second. Yes, okay, that's better. Yeah, so the other one is accountants in industry. When you say you are an accountant and you are working in industry, it simply means you are just a resident accountant of a particular company. Yeah, so you are an in-house accountant in a business. So for instance, if you go to Unilever and you go and you see the financial accountant there, if the person is an accountant there, then that person is what? An accountant in industry. If you go to the bank and there's an accountant there working there as an employee, that is an accountant in industry. When you go to the university, an accountant working there is an accountant in industry. So basically that's it. An accountant in industry, you could maybe doing financial accounting, you may be doing management accounting, you may be doing corporate cost accounting, you may be doing treasury management, you may be doing financial management, you may be doing a lot of things in there within the client's work premise. So within the organization. So if you want to work it for Nestle, Unilever, university, banks, insurance company, as accountant there, accounting or finance professional there, then we say that you are an accountant working in practice. So the big question now is, which one should you choose? It is entirely up to you. So, but more oftentimes, people or qualified accountants who like variety, who don't want to be doing the same thing every time, they normally prefer to do what? They prefer to work as accountants in practice, because with that one, you have different clients and you deal with, you work on different issues. Unlike when you are an accountant in industry, it tends to be a bit monotonous in a way. Okay. So having said that, now that we know whether you can work in practice or in an industry, how juicy is the offer if you decide to work as an accountant, if you decide to do the professional qualification and look for a job. So what I'm going to do is this is a salary expectation, and I must issue a disclaimer here that these are based on research done by organizations, and they do change. It could even be that as we are even having the meeting now, the figures may have actually changed, but they give us a fair idea just to work with. So let's take, for instance, someone has just finished a degree in accounting and has not done any professional qualification. And my figures are based on the UK. So yeah, if you're in other countries, the situation may be quite different. So the figures I'm putting out there are in pounds, and they are based on UK research. So an accountant who has finished first degree, probably could even be a master's, but has not qualified, has not done any professional exams, will normally earn between 14,000 plus and 24,000. And it's based on what the location. Of course, those of you in the UK, you know that we have the London premium. So if you work in London, you tend to have a premium, a higher salary than those who are outside London. So that's it, from 14 through to 24. Now let's look at a part qualified accountant. Who is a part qualified accountant? It's someone who has started the journey of writing the professional exam, but has not fully finished that. It could be that out of the 13 papers, the person has just done only maybe 6, 7 or something. Because once you pass a paper, you can always receive a letter of attestation from ACCA that you are an ACCA member and you have passed these papers. So if you are going to negotiate for a salary or you're going for a job interview, you don't need to have finished before you make a case that, okay, I deserve a better salary because I'm on the journey of becoming a qualified accountant. So these are part qualified accountants, and the salary expectation is between £31,000 and £34,000, depending on the location as well. Then let's see, if you're a newly qualified accountant, granted, you finish your 13 papers, maybe you didn't get any exemption, you've done your ethics, you provided your 36 months experience, practical experience, and you're a newly qualified accountant. You may not have much experience because you've just finished your studies. At that level, the salary range is between £35,000 and £42,000. So you can see the progression as you move on. So as you work as a newly qualified accountant and you gather experience, few years post-qualification, so if you go and you go to Indeed and other places and you look at job adverts, you often see them saying that, 3 years post-qualification experience, 4 years post-qualification experience. So, when you practice after you've qualified, that one too, your salary increases because they feel that you are bringing a lot on the table. So at that point, you may be getting £48,000 plus bonuses. What if you become very experienced ACC accountant, then you'll be moving into the regions of 66,000 up to 100,000 and over. Then of course with bonuses. If you are fortunate to become a partner, especially for those of you who want to work in practice, become a partner, or you become a CEO in industry, then that means your guess is as good as mine. You'll be going home with a lot of money. So basically, you see that it gives you a fair idea how qualification impacts on what the salary you receive as an accountant. So if you're doing a degree in accounting, don't think that is your end. That is actually the starting point. Because look at the difference between a degree holder and someone with qualification. So it is very, very important you think about doing a professional exams. Okay. So now that I've spoken about, I hope I've managed to whet your appetite on the different routes you can work as an accountant, either in practice or industry. I've given you a fair idea what is ahead of you, the offers, the kind of salaries you expect to get as you move along the line. Let's now come to the substantive issue of what? Structure. the structure and the key settings for ACCA exams. Setting for ACCA exams. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. Yeah, so let's look at the structure of ACCA exams. So ACCA exams, I remember many years ago when I did my ACCA exams, it was surprising to know that I qualified. I finished my exams in 2014 or something, 12, 14, I've forgotten, it's been ages now, yeah. So the ACCA is quite dynamic. They keep changing it. So it's gone through a lot of transformation. During those times, we used to talk about 3 parts, and there have been changes in the name. So, but it's still 3 parts. So I'm going to run you through how the ACCA exams is structured. So the very fundamental level is known as what? The applied knowledge, the applied knowledge session. So basically, this one is knowledge. What these modules, these papers seeks to do is they give you a broad understanding of essentials of accounting techniques, effective business operation, management accounting, and financial accounting. So basically, at the applied knowledge, it's more like, think of it like they are giving you the knowledge that you need to build a good career in ACCA. And there are 3 papers. There are 3 papers, 3 applied knowledge papers. And they are business and technology, shortened as BT, management accounting, MA, financial accounting, FA. So for those of you who have probably done accounting before, you may be fortunate that you'll be exempted from these 3 papers and even more. But yeah, if you're not exempted, just crack on with it. These are very easy to study and pass. You pass them, then you move on. So when you are done with the applied knowledge, now that you have the knowledge, they want you to apply the knowledge so that it becomes a skill. It becomes skill. So you move on to the next level, where we call it what? Applied skills. Applied skills. So this will just build on the existing knowledge you receive in the first level, so that you develop strong, broad, and practical finance abilities, which is actually deserving of what? A qualified accountant. And at this level, there are 6 exams that you need to set. There are 6 exams. We have what is known as the corporate and business law. We have what is known as the performance management, PM. We have taxation, TX. We have financial reporting, FR, audit and assurance, AA, then financial management, FM. So you can see that there are 6 different papers at that level, 6 papers. So this is the middle level. Then from there, you move to the final level, which is known as the strategic professional level, the strategic professional level. And this is where you actually get questions which are real industry-based questions. So over here, if your understanding is not solid, then you struggle over there. So most of the, so I often tell students that if you're not given exemption at the applied knowledge level, don't worry at all. It will go to your advantage in the future, because it's more like you are building. So you build a foundation. If it's strong, you can move up, and the finishing will be brilliant. So at the strategic professional level, there are 2 sessions. We have the essential session. The essential session consists of what? Strategic business leadership and strategic business reporting. These are essential, which means every single ACCA student must take these 2 papers. And apart from the essential session, we have the options, the optional session. The optional sessions has 4 different papers there. And you as the student, you are supposed to choose only 2 of them. And please, most students make a mistake when they get to this point. They choose based on which one is easy, but no, it shouldn't be that way. At that point, you should choose based on your career prospects. So for instance, if you have interest in financial management, you may probably want to come and choose AFM. advanced financial
Hello, hello, sir.
Hi. Is it okay? Is it okay for you to hold on with your questions so that when I'm done, you can ask your questions here?
Yes, Freeman, please go ahead.
Okay, so so at that point, you have to choose two of them. You have to choose two of them, and it's normal if, for instance, you have never worked, you don't know where your career is taking you to, so you don't know whether you will do financial management, performance management, you want to go into taxation or audit. It is okay. In that case, what you have to do is come back to what you did under the applied skills and ask yourself, when I was studying at the applied skill level, which of the papers there did I find very interesting? Did I find very interesting? Or I knew that, oh, I had a great liking for this paper. So if, for instance, you are that kind of person who loved what taxation and audit, then you may probably want to look at advanced audit and advanced taxation. So in that case, you have to think about it. It could be that your interest lies there. So your career, your career path should be looking in that direction. For instance, when I was doing ACCA, I enjoyed financial management so much. So when I came up there, I chose what? Advanced financial management and the performance management. And at the university now, that is what I teach. I teach financial management. I teach performance management. So yeah, that is it. So, but the bottom line is you have to choose only two out of the four. Then, you know, we'll come back here to the ethics and professional skills module that I told you about that you need to complete. It is advisable that you complete the ethics and professional skills module before you do the strategic papers. It's very important because that module will set you up to be able to do well in the strategic papers. And a lot of people don't know this. So this is how the whole thing is. You do the applied knowledge, you do the applied skills, then after the applied skills, you do the ethics and what professional skills module. That one, you're not going to write any exams on it. There are some questions you'll be asked and you take and you write your response to them, some cases and things like that. Then after that, you launch yourself into the strategic professional papers. It is very, very useful that you do that. Most people will try to finish all the three papers, 3 levels, then later come and think about ethics and professional skills. And that was what I also did when I was doing ACCA. And if you do that, you see that you struggle a lot at the strategic professional papers because you need to apply some of the things you should have learned here to the papers that you're going to write at a strategic professional level. I hope that's very clear. So these are the different levels. You have the applied knowledge, the applied skills, and the strategic professional level. But in between, you try to complete your ethics and professional skills module. So now, still talking about the structure of ACCA exams. How are ACCA exams? What are the different types of exams? You know, how are they? You know, ACCA has 2 main types of what exams. We have what is known as the on-demand exams, and we have the session-based exams. To be fair, when I was doing ACCA, there wasn't anything like on-demand exams. It was all session-based exams. But now they have on-demand exams in addition to the session-based, and I'll explain each of them to you. So when you talk about on-demand exams actually allows you that flexibility to do studies at your own time and write the exams or sit for the exams at any time within the year. So that means, and I will show you the papers which are on demand and those which are session-based. So let's take for instance, I've started ACCA and I want to start with financial accounting. I can study financial accounting this week, and once I'm ready, I can book to go and write my exams. I'll make a demand and I'll write my exams. So the on-demand exams, what happens is you get a result immediately at the end of the exams. So if it's good, you pass it immediately. If not, then that means you need to go and come back again. And though you get the results immediately, it's uploaded onto your account within 72 hours. Then we have the session-based exams. The session-based exams is where you actually have to register for the exams. You actually have to move and go to an exam center to go and write the exams. And for those ones, ACCA has 4 exam sessions. They have an exam session in March. There's another one in June. There's another one in September, and there's another one in December. You can see clearly that it's at the end of every quarter. March, June, September, and what? December. March, June, September, and December. Okay. So that is it. And for that, those ones, you need to register ahead. Make sure you don't go beyond the deadline. And you receive your results 6 weeks after taking the exam. So it's not like on-demand exams. And it's not every exams, it's not every paper which is on demand. So you need to know that. So now let's look at which of the papers that we've spoken about is on demand and which of them is session-based. So, you know, we started at the bottom was applied knowledge. The applied knowledge, we have the business and technology, we have management accountant, and we have financial accountant. I've shortened them, I've used the abbreviations. So you can see that all the applied knowledge papers are on demand, which means you can just study them in your own time, and whenever you feel ready, you go and sit for the exams. Gloria, I seem to be getting feedback. I'm not sure if you can maybe mute the person. Thank you. Yes. So apart from the applied knowledge papers, there is one applied skills paper which is on demand, and that is what? Corporate and business law, which is shortened as what? LW, the law. Corporate and business law on demand. So, and that one, there are different versions. We have the UK version, we have the global version, we have Singapore version and all those things. Yeah, so, but most people either do the UK or the global, but based on where you find yourself, you may want to do the business and corporate law relevant to your context. That one too, that is the only applied skills paper which is on demand. So apart from the corporate and business law, all the applied or skilled papers, which are the tax, the financial reporting, performance management, financial management, and audit and assurance, they are all session-based, which means you register, go and take it during the exams session, then you wait for 6 weeks for your results, as well as all the strategic professional papers. The strategic business reporting, strategic business leader, advanced financial management, advanced performance management, advanced taxation, and advanced audit. They are all session-based. So basically, these are the dynamics, and this is how ACCA exams are structured, and which of them can you take on demand, and which of them are what? Session-based. So now let's take a look at the key exam setting. I've already mentioned that ACCA has 4 exam settings per year, and they are in March, in June, in September, and in December. When I was writing ACCA, the exam setting was only in June and December, but now they have March and September, which means they have more exam settings per year. So these are the exam settings per year. So how useful is this? This will only be useful when you are taking the session-based exams, because the on-demand exams, you can decide when to write them. So let's now look into the strategies to prepare and pass the exams. So I'm going to break the strategies down into 4 different levels. And you can see from my icon here, my pen here, that the very first one I'm going to be looking at is how to select the exam sitting months. The exam sitting months is very, very important. The selection of the exam sitting months is very important. Someone will go like, no, I know it's March, it's June, it's September, it's December. Whenever I'm ready, I'll go and sit down and take the exams. No, you will not do yourself a lot of good. So there is a strategic way to select when you write the exams, which can advance your chances of passing. Then also how to select papers and prepare for the exams. I'll look at those ones too. And what do you do on the day of the exams? The day that you're going to write the exams, there are certain things you have to do, which if you don't do well at those ones, they can affect your mood, they can affect your approach and everything with the exams. And finally, what do you do during the exams? We have very intelligent students who don't do well when they take exams, or because they don't know how to take exams. So these are 4 strategies I'm going to explain to you, which ultimately, once you blend them well, you should be able to succeed in your ACCA exams. You just don't want to spend all the time investing all your money and still going to fail every time that you sit for the paper. So let's now look at the very first strategy. So I'm looking at the very first one, how to select exam sitting months. So the first strategy I'm proposing 3 different strategies as to how you can select your exam sitting. So the fact that ACC has got 4 sittings in a year, it doesn't mean you have to write a paper every sitting. The first strategy I'm proposing is adapt 2 exams per sitting twice a year. 2 exams per sitting twice a year. So what it means is, we know that they have March, June, September, and December. You can decide to choose 2 core sittings. So every other sitting, let me take it, every other sitting. So what you can do is, you can decide to choose June and December sitting as the months that you write your exams, or March and September. So if you go back to our graph here, our timeline here, if you decide to do March and September, it means that June, you are not taking any paper, and you don't feel bad about that because that's your strategy you're using. You write in March, and the next sitting you write in September. Or you can decide to do June and December. That means you don't worry about March, you don't worry about September. That is one strategy you can use. Why is it important? It is very important because if you use this strategy, it gives you ample time to prepare for the 2 papers you've selected. It gives you between 12 to 16 weeks to prepare for the exams. So if, for instance, I'm looking at June sitting, I have ample time to prepare those 2 papers for the June sitting. So by the time I go to sit for June, I'm more than ready to conquer the 2 papers. Once I finish the June, I start preparing for the next one in December. I have 2 papers I'm looking at. I will study it and write them in December. That also gives me ample time to go through the material to be able to assure myself that I'm going to pass the paper. Or you can do the same with March and September as well. So it's very, very important. That is one strategy. So don't do it random work. Oh, as for me, I feel like I want to do FR this time, I'll do it. No, it doesn't. You need to plan it. Which strategy are you using? 2 papers per sitting twice a year. Yeah. So basically, as you can see from here, what I have is normally, because the applied knowledge papers are on demand, that's why I've taken them out, which means you write them as and when you're ready. So now you're going to be dealing with the applied skills and the strategic professional papers. So these are what you have here. So for someone who has decided to go with a June and December sitting, this is what you're going to do. So first year, granted, as I said, granted they finish with applied what? Knowledge papers. So first year, in March, they won't bother, but they will do what? Performance management and tax. These are the 2 papers a student can decide to write. And these 2 papers, I will later come and explain to you that You've put them together because of a reason. So performance management and tax in June. Then you don't do anything in September. Then in December, you come and do financial reporting and audit. These two have been put together for a strategic reason. So if all goes well, that means at the end of your first year, you would have written how many? 4 papers. 4 papers. You come to the second year, you adapt the same thing. Financial reporting and strategic what? It's supposed to be financial management. This is supposed to be financial management because you've done financial management and strategic business report. Financial management and strategic business report. You do that in June. September, you don't do anything. Then in December, one of the options that the option that you have decided to work on. So if, for instance, you are doing advanced financial management and advanced performance management, you put the 2 options there and you do them in December. Then third year in June, you take the strategic business leader paper. Then you're done with your ACC within 3 years. The second strategy is someone can decide that I would only take 1 paper each sitting for 4 times a year. So for such people, they just want to concentrate on a paper for each sitting. So they'll write 1 paper in March, 1 paper in June, 1 paper in September, 1 paper in December. So they also end up writing 4 papers throughout the year. And it is actually this is a useful strategy for people who have not combined a lot of materials and study them at the same time. So they would want to take them 1 paper at a time. And especially those who are working and are very busy may want to use this strategy. So in that case too, that is it. So you have what? Your performance management, your tax, your financial reporting, your audits. So you've done that. Then, pardon me, this is financial management, FM, financial management. Then this one is strategic business report. Then the first option paper, the second option paper. Then you come and do your strategic business leader. You're also done in the 3rd year, just like the previous person. But you, every single sitting, you are taking a paper you are writing a paper, just 1 paper. Then the last one is using a mix of what exam sitting for flexibility. And it is for people that feel like, oh, okay, maybe this, if they have an event coming up, so they can't write a paper in September, they can decide to take two papers in June just to make up for the paper they didn't write in September. Let's take, for instance, second year. In the second year, if they think they are busy in March, they can decide to do double in June so that it will make up for what they couldn't write in in March, on and on, just like that. Yeah. So basically that's it. So these are the strategies you can adapt to decide on your exam setting dates or months. So it's very, very important. Choose which one you think will work for you and stick to that throughout your journey on the ACCA. Let's now look at the order of writing papers, the order of writing papers. It is also very important, though the ACCA allows you to move in any random order once you are in a particular level. Let's say if you start with applied knowledge, the 3 papers there, you can choose to write them in any order. If you go to the applied skill, the 6 papers there, you can choose to write them in any order. If you go to the strategic, you can do the essential, and then the other options, you can choose to do them in any order. But it is actually strategic to select some papers together. So let's look at this. For instance, it is always advisable that you do financial reporting before audit and assurance. Why? It's because you need the standards in financial reporting to be able to do audit. So what it means is, if you do audit before financial reporting, you are shooting yourself in the feet. You need to do financial reporting because that will help you know how reports are prepared. So that when you come to auditing it, you understand how reports are prepared so that you can audit it better. And the financial reporting will help you understand the standards so that when you come to auditing, it becomes easier for you to know whether the standard is being followed or not. So this is one thing that you need to. So in your choice, always make sure that the financial reporting comes before audit and assurance. So if I go back, you can see here that here for this student, they are writing financial report here, then they'll write what? Audit in December. And I said, pardon me, this one is what? Financial management. So if you go to the previous one too, it's the same thing. They are writing one, financial reports before audit. If you go to the previous one too, they are writing what? Financial report with audits, which is okay because at the end of the day, they are doing the report, they know the standard, they know, you know how the accounts are prepared. And when it comes to you auditing it, it becomes very easy for you. So that is very important. The other issue is, in the same way that there's a correlation between financial reporting and audit at the applied skills level, when you come to the strategic professional level too, the strategic business reporting, which used to be called corporate reporting, is an advanced version of the financial report. And of course, the advanced audit and assurance is an advanced version of audit and assurance. So in that same way, make sure that you always do what? The strategic business report before the advanced audit, or do it together. Do it together, and it will be very beneficial to you. It will be very beneficial to you. And as I said earlier, before you attempt the strategic professional papers, it is highly recommended that you do the ethics and professional skills module, because that will give you advantage in your strategic professional papers. So I hope this is very useful. Most of these things we didn't know when we were doing the ACCA. We picked the papers at random, and yeah, it was really a challenge, but it should help you make your life easy for yourself. So now let's look at how to prepare and pass the exams. I'm actually going to run you through 8 points, which will help you prepare and pass the exam. The very first one is minimize the use of social media and your phone. Oh, Freeman, are you saying that because of ACC we shouldn't have a life? I'm not saying that, but ACCA is, or any professional exams, is very jealous. And the more you spend time on other things, you have less time to be able to cover the content. So once you sign up as an ACCA student, make that conscious effort to reduce your use of social media, except you are using it to supplement your studies. If you don't do that, then that means you'll be throwing away money, you'll be spending money, you'll be spending your time and not passing, and you get frustrated, and people start and they are not able to finish. If you want to use social media, as long as it's ACCA resources and other things which are going to help you prepare for your exams, that would be brilliant. So look at your use of social media, the use of your phone, the use of your phone. It is very important. So once you start registering, you know that I'm doing less of social media. The other issue is, the other strategy is, you need to prepare a study plan and implement it. It will be surprising for you to say that you're ready to sit for any exams when you didn't start with a study plan and you have not gone religiously by the study plan. I'm sure you just probably just going to try your luck, and half of the time you will not be successful. So as soon as you register, draw your plan. I've given you strategies as to how to set the exams, choose your exam setting, draw your plan. If I'm writing in June, which papers am I taking? You should look at how to select papers so that they are advantageous to you. You select these papers, draw a plan. Maybe I'm good. I like to study at dawn. I wake up at 4, take tea and sit down and study. go and probably close around, finish around 6 and prepare for work and go to work or something. I'll come back from work very early and devote 2 hours. And it's about consistency. You have the study plan and you implement it religiously. You know, it is a cash intensive thing, and it involves a lot of time. So you wouldn't want to spend your money, your time, and go and not make it. It will frustrate you. So prepare a plan and implement it. The other issue is make sure that the papers you're going to write, you familiarize yourself with the syllabus and the structure. Every single ACCA paper or exams paper you're going to write is unique in its way. So you want to look at the syllabus, what the examiner expects you from you, and how the exams is going to be. You need to know that even before you start studying. You cannot start studying, and the only time you know how you're going to be examined is when you are ready to solve questions. You know, that is not a good strategy. From the get-go, you should know how you're going to be assessed, and put that at the back of your mind as you go through the material. And also the number of what approved textbooks, but it is my recommendation that you stick to one of them, because they do have different styles of writing and you want consistency. I remember when I was doing ACCA, I was using Kaplan, but I'm not in any way recommending Kaplan or BPP. You can choose whichever one you want to use. But there are some topics when I'm studying and I'm not really getting the understanding in Kaplan, I probably want to look at how BPP explains it. There is a place for that, just to supplement your understanding you're getting from Kaplan. But don't be moving from Kaplan to BPP, you get confused. Stick to one and use that religiously. Then the other issue is you need to watch examiners approach interview. ACCA has examiners approach interview where they tell students or they show students how they expect them to approach the exams. And it's surprising, most students don't even spend time looking at this. It's more like the video is done, but the audience don't watch them. And the same mistakes are repeated every now and then. So make sure you look out for the examiner's approach interview and look at how the examiner expects students to answer questions, so that when you're answering your question, you give to them what they want. Then also try as much as possible that when you are studying, set achievable learning target for each day. So for instance, when I wake up, if I'm an early morning person, I wake up at 4, I'm behind my computer, I'm behind my books, I'm going to study. If I know I can finish a whole chapter, I don't have to say that I want to finish this whole chapter and just rush through it. You end up losing vital aspect of the syllabus. And it will surprise you, those aspects of the syllabus you not study, they will be the first question when you go to write the exam. So make sure you set achievable targets. So if a chapter deserves 2 or 3 days, take your time, run it through it in that way, and it will be very helpful. And this sounds very basic, but very powerful. When you are reading or you are studying for ACCA, you need to prepare your own notes. It's very, very important. Prepare your own notes, because as the old Chinese adage goes, it says that what? The faintest ink is still better than what? The sharpest brain. So what it means is, if you pick the voluminous ACCA book and you are reading it and you are not making notes, trust me, in 2 weeks' time, you would have forgotten some of the things and you have to pick that same big book to flip. But if you've done your notes, you can look at the summary that you have in your book, and it is always good for revision. It's always good for revision. So please use the textbook, but prepare your own notes out of the textbook. It's very, very useful. Then the other issue is ACCA is about practice. I tell you, there is a 90% chance that you will not pass the exam if you don't practice past papers. So make sure you practice, and practice. Practice past papers, practice mock papers, practice sample papers, and make sure you leave yourself ample time for revision, which is devoted to practicing questions. Because if you don't practice past papers, trust me, you are going to mess up big time in the exams. So you need to give yourself ample time to practice. So some people may even devote a whole month to revision, and it's just about solving questions, looking at the marking scheme, how things are done, so that they'll use it to consolidate their learning. Then you need to also look at these important things. Every year the examiners issue a report. You need to review the examiner's report and look at common pitfalls so that you don't repeat them. And every sitting, almost every year, there are technical articles issued by the ACCA, and these are on topics students are struggling and other general topic, relevant topics. And at times they give you suggestions, the things that you'll be examined on. I'm not always saying that technical articles will be examined on or the area, but most of the time, if it's a topical issue and you read a technical article, you may be surprised to see that when you go to the exams, you are being examined on something similar. And some of the technical articles too, they are just questions which have been solved and explanation given. So look at technical articles too. Also, it's important to check the marking scheme to know how marks are awarded, and examiner's analysis, which is also equally important. So, these are things you need to put at the back of your mind. Social media, have a plan, implement it, make sure you know the syllabus even before you start reading, and stick to one approved textbook. Look at the examiner's approach interview, then set achievable target. Make sure you make your own note. Leave enough time for practice of more questions, past papers, and things like that. And make sure you look at examiner's report, read technical articles, check marking schemes, and examiner's analysis interview. And you'll be on your way to success. So on the day of the exams, what are you supposed to do before your exams day, before your the day? So basically, the night before, make sure you have good rest. Make sure you pack all your things that you need for the exams, because that one can disorient you. You may have studied throughout the exam season, and just before you go for your exams, the next day, if you don't prepare, get all your materials together, it can actually disorient you. Make sure you go to bed early and have enough rest, because it's a brain game that you're going to do. And if you decide I'm going to study throughout the whole night and go and write it, you get there and you may probably lose your mind, or you may forget some of the things you've done. And make sure you have a good breakfast before the paper, and don't go with an empty stomach, because at times it can also affect your ability to reason. Then you need to set off early for session-based exams. Make sure you set off early to the exam center. And as soon as you go there, locate the washroom. It sounds very simple, but it's very important. I remember when I was writing my ACCA paper, one of the papers, I'm not sure, that paper was really time sensitive and I needed to use the loo. So what happened was I asked for permission to go out, and when I stepped out, I didn't know where the washroom was. And it was really, it took me a long time to locate the washroom, and that was time because they're not going to stop the watch for you. Yeah, and that kind of thing. So it's very important you know where the washroom is, because if you step out, you want to know where to go. And obviously it wasn't in the UK. So then you need to wait patiently to be called into the exams room. You get there on time and wait patiently too, because anything that happens before they say start work can disorient you. It can disorient you. So it is very, very important to set yourself up for the day. So what do you do during the exams? One thing is there's always reading time. What do you do during the reading time? You have the choice. If it's a paper that involves you making a choice between questions, use the reading time to decide which questions you're going to answer out of the many. And decide which questions you're going to start with. Because there are some questions, as soon as you see them, you know that I can do this question and do it quickly, and it's going to fetch me a good mark. And whether you like it or not, when an examiner is marking your paper and the very first question is poorly done, it can have impact on their perception of the others. So mostly the very first one, except maybe you can do all of them equally, you try to make sure you do your best questions first. And make sure you allocate time to each question so that if you think you are spending too much time on a question, you leave and go and address other questions. One other thing is you need to read questions carefully and highlight and underline important concepts, because when you're marking, we see that students may have deviated. You ask yourself, for 3 hours, the student was there and they answered the wrong question. So it's always good you go back to the question to reconfirm that you are actually approaching it in the right way. So make sure you don't understate what the requirement of the question before starting it. It is very, very important. And you always have to plan your work before you start writing. You know, at times when you go to write professional exams, some people can intimidate you. As soon as we say start work, you see them writing. No, you don't need to follow those people. Most of them, they can start and get to the middle after 20 minutes and you see them crossing everything. They will see that, oh, no, I did the wrong thing. So you are in a league of your own. You are not in competition with anyone. Read your question, you understand it, plan it, and start writing it down. Don't rush. The fact that your neighbor has started writing and probably they are recopying the question because they don't know how to solve it. So know that you are doing it alone and strategize to make sure you give your best. And also make sure that if it's a question that requires you to attempt all questions, don't leave any question unanswered. And that is what leaves students with what? 48, 49. You may even do very well if it's supposed to be attempt all questions and you don't attempt one particular question, then they will think that your appreciation of the whole concept is not solid and you may probably not pass. So it is very, very important. Use the reading time well, read the question carefully, plan your work before you start, and where the question involves you attempting all of them, make sure you attempt all the questions. So I think I've been talking for far too long. In conclusion, what am I saying? I'm saying that to become an ACCA member, you need to register, you need to sit and pass all the exams. If you don't receive exemption, you need to complete your ethics and professional skills module. Then you need your 36 months of practical experience. Then in terms of the strategies we've highlighted, we said, choose your exam sitting and papers carefully. Develop a study plan and follow it religiously. Prepare your own note as you learn and make time to practice questions, more questions and past papers. Read technical articles, review examiners' analysis and report. Go to bed early the day before your exams and set off early. Read questions carefully, structure your answers to address the requirement, and make sure you attempt all questions. It is actually achievable. But let me end with this quote by Pele, the footballer of blessed memory. He said that success is no accident. It is hard work, perseverance, learning, studying, sacrifice, and most of all, love of what you are doing or learning to do. I hope that your decision to start the journey of professional accountancy becomes smooth and you brace yourself well to overcome every challenges that come your way, so that maybe in a couple of years' time, I'll see some of you as qualified accountants and making impact in your organization. On that note, I want to thank you all for coming for today's webinar, and I will yield my mic, and I'm ready to take any questions from here. Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry.
Thank you so much, Dr. Freeman. That is wealth of knowledge received, first by whetting our appetites as to the relevance of ACCA. I'm not the one to take questions. I'm going to hand over to Nana Kusi. He's a volunteer in the finance department of Life Beacon International. Nana, there's one question on the chat already, so if you can pick that up.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, first of all, I would like to thank Doc for enlightening us on the whole procedure one needs to go through before they can be a certified or qualified accountant. I can say that I've really learned a lot. As it stands now, I'm working as an industry accountant, and I believe I know what to do going forward. So thanks very much. Yeah, okay, so going to the questions, it seems I have only 2 to 3 questions. I don't know whether the rest over here will raise up their hand so that they can be given the mandate to ask directly. But there is someone over here called Daniel who wants to know the cost of writing the ACC or say becoming a chartered accountant, either as compared to the others. What are the costs involved in terms of CIMA, ACC, and the rest? How expensive is ACCA?
Okay, Nana Kusi, thank you very much for that question. Yeah, as you notice, I didn't actually talk about the cost involved because the cost keeps changing every now and then. And in terms of comparison, I wouldn't say the ACC is very expensive. It is not, but the only problem is, and I can speak to this because I'm a Ghanaian and I also did my ACCA whilst I was in Ghana. So for those of you in Ghana, I'm sure it may be the challenge that you're facing, the issue of exchange rate volatility. If you compare the ACCA to ICA Ghana, it's cheaper, of course, to do ICA compared to ACCA because, of course, you're going to pay ICA in cedis, but this one you're going to pay in pounds. And if the ACCA even tells you it's 100 pounds, you can move from Lagos on when the exchange rate is 10 cedis to a pound. By the time you get to Accra, it may be 15 cedis to a pound. Do you get what I mean? So yeah, if you compare it in that area, then you may think that the ACCA is expensive. But let's say if you are comparing the ACCA to CIMA or the CFA or any other thing, I think the ACCA and CIMA is basically just around, but I stand to be corrected. I don't really know much about the fee structure for CIMA. I know CFA is far expensive than ACCA, but on the whole, I think ACCA, CIMA, they will be around the same price structure. I don't think the disparity will be that great. But if you compare it to your local accounting professional bodies, then it will be cheaper for you to do your local one. But you know, it's a global world, and I'm not saying that if you do the local one, you can work outside. But yeah, that decision is yours to make. So that is a cost. So if you want to know the specific amount involved in registering, I think I can put the website of ACCA in the link. When you go there, they have all of them spelled out there. You can look at that. If there's any questions on fees, you can always send them an email and they will be more than happy to do what? Give you more information on that. Yeah, I hope that addresses the question.
All right, thanks very much. So this is a personal question from me. Yeah, so let me put it in this way. Supposing I'm working in a manufacturing company, which deals with more of cost, would you advise me to go for an ACCA?
Oh, so, okay. So if you're working in a manufacturing industry, the question I'm going to ask you is, what is your career aspiration? You know, you can be working at a place at a point in time, but that is not where you want to be forever. Do you get what I mean? So if your intention, you love what you're doing there and you think you always want to be doing that, then that means, I think the CIMA seems better than the ACCA in that regard. Having even said that, you know, when you do ACCA, the aspect of management accounting in there, cost accounting, which means if you are ACCA chartered, you can still work for the manufacturing firm and they will recognize you as a chartered accountant and your skills will still be relevant for that position. Yeah, does it make sense?
Yeah. Yes, please. Thank you. And yeah, I wanted to ask about, could you touch on the performance objectives when you are starting your ACCA career, in which you have to link your career as in terms of your work performance with your studies? You made mention that before one can be certified as a chartered accountant, you've got to get a 36 months minimum of work experience. So
Yeah.
can you touch a bit about the objective setting, because there's an aspect in which you have to set objectives within the portal to align with whatever you're doing.
Okay, so so basically what I will advise you to do with that is that process is something that you need to do with a more senior senior or qualified accountant. Do you get what I mean? So it is something you first of all have to discuss, because I've done it severally for people when I used to work in industry. So you need to choose who is going to sign it off for you. Is that okay? That person has to be someone who is already qualified, and that person can have a meeting with you and try to, because they need to understand your role. Is that okay?
Yeah.
And be able to help you set your objectives. So without knowing what you are doing specifically, it will be quite difficult to articulate the kind of objectives you set for yourself. Do you get what I mean? So
Yeah.
it is more about, you get a mentor or someone who is going to sign it off and understands what you do. And based on that, they will be able to advise you, set this objective, set this up, and you'll be able to use your role to achieve those objectives. Does it make sense?
Yeah, yes, please. Thank you. Okay, so there's a question from Pascal. He says, please, my question is being an ACCA member. Is there going to be a tuition, as in going to the class to study like the university, or you just have to sit and write exams per no tuition, exams papers with no tuition?
Okay, so just to clarify, the person wants to know that if you are writing the exams, must you be tutored or you can do independent studies? I think that's what the person is trying to ask.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think it depends on you. It depends on you. Some of us, we did it the very hard way. When I was doing ACCA, what I did was I used to go and buy the book and study it on my own. I did all the, how many papers did I do? I had got 4 exemptions. So I started from F5 those days. It was called F5, performance management. I did all the remaining papers without any tuition. But to be fair, it is actually not a good strategy to use if you don't have time. I was able to do that because I was working in the university and I had time to do studies. But if you're working, I wouldn't advise you to do that. If it's possible for you to go for tuition, it is good for someone to explain it to you so that when you pick the material to read them, it becomes easier for you rather than spending a long time to digest something which you could have been taught for only 20 or 30 minutes. So yeah, but if you feel the money is not there and it's actually doable. Most of my friends that wrote the ACC at that time, most of them didn't go for tuition. So you can decide not to go for tuition, but trust me, if you go for tuition, it will make life very easy for you. It will make life very easy. The same way I've spent time to take you through these strategies as to how to prepare, how to even sit the exams. If you go for tuition, the tuition provider, because he's done it over and over again, at times they're even able to predict the next sitting, which areas you need to focus on and how to deal with issues. So there's always a benefit that will come with getting extra tuition. So that's what I can say, Pascal.
Thanks very much. Another question for a colleague. Okay, so can one classify himself as a part qualified when he has only 8 papers to write, in terms of 4 from the applied skills and 4 in the strategic aspect?
The term part qualified there's no straight definition for that. I have not seen it anywhere, except maybe there's a recent one. I've not seen it anywhere. As long as you're on the ACCA journey and you've written 1 paper and you've passed, you can still say that you are part qualified. It's up to your employer to decide on the way they will give to that part qualification. Do you get what I mean? So at the end of the day, if I have one paper to go and another person has 9 papers to go, and you are all calling yourself part qualified, I'm sure the one that has less to finish will be seen as more part qualified than the one who has just started and just done one paper. So until you finish writing all the papers, you will still be called what? Part qualified. And bear in mind, when you finish writing all the 13 papers, you are not even a member yet. When you finish writing it, you become an affiliate of ACCA. And if you've not done the ethics, you do the ethics, then you do the practical experience requirement, then you can be admitted into membership. Yeah, so that's what I can say about that.
Okay, thanks very much. So one more question. I think that will be the last question from my end. And maybe if anyone has a question to ask, they can raise their hand to be given the. Okay, so let me use myself as an example. As someone working as an industry accountant, looking forward to be an accountant in practice, but I can see that I will complete my journey to be a chartered accountant within the industry. What advice would you give me in terms of selecting the strategic professional option?
Okay.
Exams?
Yes. Okay, that's actually a good question. I think your what should inform your choice of the strategic professional optional papers should be your long-term ambition, your long-term ambition, not your short or medium term. Does it make sense? So if I'm even doing tax now, and I know that that's not what I'm going to do in the long term, I will not specialize in tax. I'd rather do something which I know something I'll be doing in the future. So you can be doing tax now and decide to do financial management because your intention is to go into corporate finance and other things. So I think different people will respond to this question differently, but I would advise that your choice should be informed by where you are going in the future and not where you are currently.
Okay, thanks very much, sir.
Okay.
Okay. There's another question from Pascal. He wants to know whether it's advisable to write the exams whilst having your degree. Is it advisable to merge the two?
Yes. Okay. So that's actually a difficult question to answer in the sense that in the past, I know some students that do it concurrently whilst they are in the uni. They are still doing the ACCA. But genuinely, if you ask me of my opinion, I would advise that you probably do it after you finish your degree. You do it after you finish your degree. Why? It's because now in recent times, most of the people that are doing accounting degrees will get a lot of exemptions on the ACCA. Is that okay? So why don't you focus your attention on your degree, get a good class on the degree, finish, use the transcript to get more exemption and strategize, and within the next 2-3 years, finish your professional qualification. And the one benefit of doing that is if you are fortunate and you find yourself working for an accounting firm, they may end up even financing your education for you, your professional exams for you, which means you wouldn't have incurred a cost. If you have already done it, they are not going to refund it. But if you are yet to do it when you are with them, then they will pay for it. So yeah, I think I would rather concentrate on my degree, do very well there, go apply, get exemption, then try and finish it up. I may be working for a company who will be willing to sponsor me. By that time, they sponsor me, I do the qualification for free. So that would be my advice to anyone who is in the university. Yeah.
Thank you. We would take the last question from Kamsi, and she would also stay on for the vote of thanks. So last question from Kamsi.
Okay, Kamsi, can you go ahead and it seems your question is quite
Oh, sorry. Okay. Hello. Just want to say thank you for presenting today. But I just wanted to ask you. So when I did the exam, I've just done FA1 and MA1. I think that's like the primary one, like the basic exams, and I heard that like those are the easy exams. So basically what I did was I just studied the workbook. Like I literally just used the workbook and checked the answers at the back of the workbook, then I correct myself, look at how they solved it, and it worked. So I just wanted to ask if that would work in like the harder exams, or like if I can use that strategy like going forward. What do you think? And then I also wanted to ask, the sittings you put on your slide, the one with June, December, is that like ACCA globally, or that's just for UK exams for ACCA?
Yeah. Okay, so thank you very much. Let me answer the second one first. The second one, the answer is for ACCA globally. It's not only for the UK. It's
Okay.
global. Yeah, so there are 4 cities. Then let me come to your strategy. The strategy that you use will only work for what? The applied knowledge papers, because those ones are test of concept, giving you basic ideas about things. Do you get what I mean? But as you move up, as I said, it becomes more application. It becomes more application. But the past papers are, as I stress on, they are very, very important. No level in ACCA should be attempted without looking at past papers or solving past papers. If you do that, you may have read the textbook cover to cover. If you've not done past papers, you will not do well, because the past papers is a way just to consolidate your learning. It's a way to try to move away from presentation of information to using it to address what? A problem. So as you read the question, you know how you're going to address it. And when you attempt it, you go and look at the marking scheme and look at how the examiner wants you to address it. So when I used to teach ACCA, what I was telling my students is, when you look at the solution provided by the examiner, it's likely that the same question may not repeat itself in your sitting, but sit back and ask yourself, the first paragraph, what is the examiner trying to do? The second, what is the examiner trying to do? The third, it's just about trying to deduce from how they are presented what their solution, their strategy for answering similar questions. So that is the reason why you need to look at past questions. But if you decide to stick only to the past papers at higher level, it will be a challenge. Trust me, it will be a challenge. You may probably get 30 something or 40 something, which will not give you the pass. But at the basic level, at the applied knowledge level, it's easy for you to scale through. Yeah. I hope that answers the question.
I believe so. So whilst we wait on Kamsi to give us the vote of thanks, I've actually shared a form on the link, a link to the chat. And I would expect everybody to fill. We would want to hear your feedback on this webinar as well. So Kamsi, over to you for the vote of thanks, please.
Oh, sorry, I couldn't hear anything before.
Oh, so you couldn't hear the answer I gave?
No, I heard the answer just towards the end. I just didn't hear anything.
Okay, so my question was, first of all, the certain strategy I gave is applicable to ACCA Global. Then the other issue is the strategy of trying to just use past papers will only work for applied knowledge level. If you go to applied skills and applied what? A strategic professional, it will not work. But I still laid emphasis on the fact that you need to make time to solve past papers. Is that okay? And when you solve past papers, the whole idea is trying to deduce from how the examiner has presented the solution, how they are thinking, and how they expect you to answer similar questions. Is that okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So that is.
So let me just give the vote of thanks. Good evening, everyone. I deem it a great honor and privilege to propose the vote of thanks on this memorable occasion. Let me first of all start by giving glory to the Almighty God for making today's meeting a resounding success. First and foremost, I thank our special guest, Dr. Freeman Owusu, Senior Lecturer at Nottingham Trent University, who, despite his busy schedule, has found time to grace this occasion. I owe special gratitude to the Life Beacon Finance Department, who have worked hard to ensure this occasion becomes a memorable success. And I just want to thank everyone who has worked behind the scenes in setting up this event. And finally, I would like to thank all the distinguished invitees present here for accepting our invitation. And once again, I thank you all for your attention. This has been nothing but a 10 out of 10. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kamsi. Good. We appreciate you, Dr. Freeman. Thank you very much for coming, as Kamsi said. And our chairperson is also on the call, Dr. Ruby Apia Campbell. We appreciate you. Thank you for making this happen for us as well. I don't know whether you want to say hello to us before we say bye-bye. We just greet ourselves and we leave for tonight.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Freeman. I'm so glad you're able to make it. I know Dr. Gloria has been chasing you for a long time, but you're here. And in fact, the insight you've given has been helpful. I think that even if you're not doing ACC, the strategies that you gave, it's something that you can apply if you're in a university.
That's right.
And the ideas that you the ideas that you have laid out is something that we can apply even in our little projects that we do in our exams, in our university exams and stuff like that. So, thank you so much for the insight. And I have learned as well, even though I'm not going to write ACC, I have learned one thing that I was not sure about was how do we do the exemption? How do they give the exemptions? I thought that, okay, after you do your master's, then you get extra exemptions. You do a PhD, you get extra exemptions. But I realized that that's not the case. I've learned from the sessions, and thank you very much. And we hope that from the feedback we get, we might invite you again to come and give some clarifications that they might need from the feedback we get. But I'm sure that everybody has gotten a very good understanding of the process and how things work, and especially the money part that you talked about. That's the motivation.
I'm looking
really
forward to be a CEO.
So thank you so much for the session.
You're welcome, Ruby, and it's good to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, once again. Thank you, Dr. Freeman. Thank you, LP Ruby. We set out to just have an hour, 30 minutes, but thank you for the extended session as well. And I'm happy everyone is happy with me. Thank you. And we would see ourselves again, hopefully soon.
I'm sure that we had 40 people registering to come, but I'm sure most people from Ghana may be using Ghana time, and they would now want to join the time. Unfortunately, they didn't look at the time that it was DST. So, are we able to share your slides or your the recording if people request for it?
Yeah, that's okay. You can share it. That's why
the recording.
Yeah.
You could probably put it on YouTube for those who might have